And yep, there it is.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Season 2 of Conversations in Pop Culture, where I have with me for a third time Tyrone Jackson from Sovereign Comics, the Sovereign Universe.
Yep.
So welcome back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. Yeah, that's crazy. Number 3. The wild part is like kind of around this time. You know, I was on your show last year for the first time. Actually, the first show that I ever been on. So that was dope. So it's almost like an anniversary in a sense. It's kind of cool.
I set the standard. That's what we're talking about right there. Yep. Obviously, you got a lot of stuff going on. You actually have Cypher Team, the Kickstarter is going on, or I think I said it right, hopefully.
Yeah, it's Cypher Team. You said it right. Yep.
And so obviously that is already done. It's Kickstarter launch, but it's been out there before. I do want to preface that. But before we get into everything, what is Sovereign Comics? What is the Soverse? Because for people who are listening for the first time, my new members in my page, as well as people on Twitch and YouTube, which we're now on, they might not know what you do and all the comics you have done. And I want to catch everybody really quickly before we get into Cypher Team.
Cool. Well, in short, Sovereign Comics is an interconnected universe. It's a universe that I started creating back in 2007. I published my first book in 2016, which is wild. Like a lot of people ask, why did it take so long? Because I was building the universe. It's interconnected. I didn't want people poking holes and everything because I rushed it. It's a universe that is creative in the sense a lot of the stories that you're going to get in the Sovereign Comics universe is stories that you may not have seen before. There are Black leads in the majority of the comics. It is a diverse universe. However, and I want to stress this because I think some folks don't grasp it, or they'll see the book and be like, oh, I can't read that. It's not for me. My books are for everyone. Anyone can pick up my books and read them. I am a storyteller. I tell story first. So take that how you will. I tell stories first. That's my heart is storytelling. Been writing since I was in the first grade. So yeah, in short, Sovereign Comics, interconnected universe. We have 5 titles out right now. It is a story-driven and diverse universe. The goal is imaginative escape. So I want you to read them and then escape for a little bit from reality. And then, unfortunately, when you're done, you have to come back. So, but you know.
So you have 5 titles.
I have 5 titles out right now, which is crazy because this year I'm adding 4 more titles to the list. 2 of them, I'm not going to say they're easy. That's the wrong word to use, but it will be a little, I guess, less stressful because it won't be the same as me running the floppies because it's going to be 2 graphic novels. So I'm not, those are they're going to have end of the year launches or end of the year publishing. So as long as I can get those finished by the end of the year, they'll be good to go. If not, then they'll just cross over to 2022. But the other 2 titles that are being released this year, they're going to be floppies, but I'm only doing their issue 1s this year just to see how they're received and see what folks think about them. And then I'm going to be doing
also just to add to all of this as well before we get into this Cypher Team here. One of the things that's starting to happen in the comic world is there's a lot of change and dust to settle. I think that is a safe assumption. Breaking news yesterday was San Diego Comic-Con isn't happening in 2021. For those who don't know or aren't paying attention, that's an indicator. It's a red flag. Cons in the summer. I'm going to go thumbs down, not thumbs up. Just not, I'm very, very negative and I'm very pessimistic. I'm always right eventually. So that's something to keep in mind and throw out there. But let's get into Cypher Team because I know the Kickstarter is currently going on. And there's a lot of stuff going on. This is sort of the flagship of the Soulverse universe. And I think
it is
the best title to start with. Might not be chronologically the best title to start with, but I think this has something for everybody. I also think it's one of the most relatables because it's more superhero theme, I feel, and similar to Justice League and things like that. And I hate to use the word mainstream in this entire thing, but it is, in my opinion, more mainstream than the others out there. What is the basic story? So we catch everybody up before we dive into
it. So the basic story of Cypher Team, pretty much what happens in issue 1 is you have this team that is called out of decommission to stop a terrorist organization from, killing individuals who have powers. What the story picks up is these individuals who have powers. They're standing in line to register their powers, because in the Sovereign Comics universe, individuals with powers are registered, and if you aren't registered, then if you get caught, you'll get in trouble for it, or they'll just, if you haven't done anything wrong, they will just get you registered. But if you're like a villain or a criminal or something, then you're probably going to one of the 3 big prisons that the Sovereign Comics universe has. Like, one's in space, one's in the sea, and the one's like tucked away in the middle of nowhere. But so they're sitting here registering their powers, and then this terrorist group attacks. The reason why they attack is from events that happened 10 years ago, which are going to come up in issue 3. Of what exactly happened. So it's almost like this little internal war that the powered people and the individuals without powers have. But this terrorist group, like, even though they're attacking them, they aren't coming unarmed. Like, they all have these like exosuits and everything like that. These pretty much these armors that allow them to go toe to toe with individuals that have powers. So yeah, it dives right into the action. Like, you get a little brief from a character who shows up later. I won't say who they are because I will say this: they are the pantheon. These individuals are the pantheon, one of the pantheons of the Sovereign Comics universe. I don't know if anyone grabbed who this particular character is of this pantheon, but I did leave hints on pages 1 and 2. Well, really on page 2. There's a huge hint on page 2, and then like their caption boxes, have their implemented. So if you're one of those ones that like to figure it out, you could probably figure out who this character is and who that pantheon is. But like I was saying, like this unit is decommissioned and brought in to stop this terrorist group. But not only that, they're briefed that this other terrorist unit called the Angels of Anarchy, which is a group of individuals who actually have powers, and they want to destroy people who don't have powers, that they're going to be coming in. So it's almost like hey, come on in. We need you to stop 2 terrorist organizations, not just 1, but 2. So literally you're just jumping right into the pan. Like, everything's on fire already, and you're just getting tossed right into it, but you'll get some bits and pieces, and I like to drop little Easter eggs or drop little hints or drop little things that's going to raise a person's questions and make, because I'm very active in my DMs on Instagram, and I've had people come back like, hey, you said this and this, what is this? And I'll either say nothing, or I'll say, you got to read the next issue, or I tell them, or we'll start getting into a conversation of things that are going on. And issue 1 of Cypher Team, there's a couple of things in there where people have come back and asked questions about, what does this mean? What does that mean? What's going on here? So, yeah.
So you can go further into this, because obviously Cypher Team is not the only superhero team. I believe they have lineage of people from the first team. They have some commandos and special ops. They also have an assassin that I guess turned good, or maybe is being forced by the government to avoid jail time. That's up in the air. Everybody can get their own conclusions. It's not important. That's my opinion on why that person's there. Because that's how it works.
Yeah, but that's the stuff I love. Like, people's, and I kind of want to say what it is, but I want people to kind of like what you did. But you're right though. Like, one is an assassin. That's all I'm going to say about that. You have to find out a little more about her.
A skilled assassin.
Yeah, very
comes
skilled.
from a lineage family.
I'm
not disclosing anything that I know. I know a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, she comes from like a family of ninja. And the thing is like, that's just one of the ninja families. Like, there's 11 other ones. So it's kind of a big deal. And like with Cypher Team, even though they have this heroic thing about them,
it's
always
Suicide Squad.
In a sense, yeah, they just no one really die on the same. But yeah, in a sense, like the way I like to explain to folks is they are a counter anti-terrorist unit. So they are special forces for the government that they work for. It's just that they protect everyone. They protect, not just their their country that they're from, but they protect individual powers. And if America even needs them, America be like, hey, can you send a cipher team or send in one of your cipher teams because we got soldiers or Marines on ground in this area in this country, and they came across a superpowered individual. Can you send in this cipher team? And they'll usually will do that. So, but there's multiple cipher teams. So you have Cipher Team Alpha, which this story is following. And there's a part in the book where you see a bunch of people walking in, and those are just different members of the different cipher teams. Like one of the ones I like to point out because she pops up in issue 2 is the one who's like in the front, and she looks like she's holding an iPad as she's walking in. She's the SIGO, so she's the signal officer of Temple Special Operations Command, but she's also the leader of Cipher Team Torrent, which is pretty much a communications based special power unit. So they're like JSOC to the max. They're pretty much they're like in issue 2, like the stuff that she's able to do. People have come back like, what?
Go off of this because obviously you set up a world, and obviously there's stars and there's Temple High and there's a few other things, and I don't want to get too much into it at the moment because we went through this in the last 2 months. And I'm sure at some point in the 4th interview that we're going to do at some point, we're also going to dive more into it. There's a lot of stuff going on, and you have very much a complete world in that sense. So what is that like for you to say, hey, I got this complete world, and that intricate parts are coming in into things, and that none of these events in Cipher Team are isolated. Because we have a story that's dealing with, the Anarchy Angels, I think they're called.
Angels of Anarchy.
Angels of Anarchy. That doesn't mean that, while that's contained to what's going on, still what's happening at the same time with stars is not excluded, if that makes any sense for anybody out there. So obviously things can cross breed and promote, but things are also further distance where Cipher Team does not take place in LA.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right. That's pretty much the universe. Like everything is going on. And I know you're a comic reader, and I've been a comic reader for forever. I know most people watching this are comic readers. And one of the things that used to always, I guess, grind my gears is like you'll have an alien invasion in New York, but you have like all of these heroes spread across the United States. But it's like Spider-Man and Iron Man fighting these aliens. It's like, where's the X-Men? Where's everybody else? This is an alien invasion. And that always kind of bothered me. In a sense. So that's whenever I say interconnected is exactly how you said it. It's nothing is happening in any of these other titles except for Anyamo Stigmata, which takes place in space, and Arisha Exos, which takes place like 600 years in the future. But the 3 titles, Temple High, Stars, and Cipher Team, there's nothing happening in those titles that someone isn't going to know about it in the other ones. So like even this fight, like Stars, the individuals who are in Stars, they see it. Like, so they're probably home right now, sitting down watching the news before the communications get knocked out. And then in Temple High, you have Damien, who is the son of Alchemy and Pyreblade, who are on Cipher Team Alpha, and I'm sure he knows. He's probably like, I hope my parents are okay, and then his friends know who his parents are, then his enemies know who his friends are.
The school knows. And
the school knows, exactly.
Temple High is very much like academy. It's a training type of thing. It's like Deadly High. I think
pretty much. Yeah,
so there's precautions having to be taken there. And while the comic might not be dealing with it in that sense, immediately you might not see all that. You could take the safe assumption.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Because there's a Temple High, not a Temple. I'm sorry. There's a Cipher Team that's on the school grounds. So when this is going on, they beef up security, and of course that Cipher Team, because they got the same briefing as the other one. They're just like, let's watch out for the kids and make sure that it doesn't cross over here. The dean is actually the leader of the Cipher Team that's on the school, which is Cipher Team Sigma, and one of the homeroom teachers who we'll meet in Temple High issue 2 is second in command of that Cipher Team. But yeah, so
to even go into all of this, because it's super important. Well, where you have to be very careful on what you tell and what books.
Yeah,
things can get crazy.
Exactly.
Obviously, you could get the waters very muddy.
Oh yeah.
And so what is that like where you say, okay, I got a game plan? Because we spoke about this before, where you have a general game plan for the entire Silververse universe, at least the 3 titles so far. I think, Stigmos, Amados, and Exo.
Yeah. Orisha Exos and Yamos Stigmata. Yeah. So like for those, I
those are in the future, so those aren't as influenced.
No,
where one event changes the way those entire comics operate. Because I have a feeling both of those books obviously are pretty far away from each other. Especially the one 600 years in the future. Now, if there's 13 events over the course of 100 years, that's going to influence those titles.
Oh yeah, and the funny part is the interconnected point for Orisha Exos is based off of another story that the graphic novel is going to be this year, where there's a character in there who's kind of like she's a what they call her, evo terrorist or environmentalist terrorist. That's what they call her. But she's in tune with the planet. Like she can not just, she's like if I were to mix Poison Ivy and Swamp Thing, that would be her, but she looks like a human, but she's also she's a demigod. So it makes sense for her to have that connection. And the way Orisha Exos works is like that character pretty much tells society, hey, we need to start taking care of the planet. And if you don't, the planet's going to start poisoning itself. So now you have this crossroads, which I like to, make my different timeline points to keep everything in order. Now you're at a crossroads. So it's like, do you listen to her or do you not listen to her? So Orisha Exos takes place on that. They said, whatever, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. And now now Orisha Exos, that's where that story takes place. So it's connected, but it's way out and on its own, where it's like my own playground and I can kind of do whatever I want with it without anything happening. And with the Yamo Stigmata, since he's in space, and we've all seen Interstellar and stuff like that, and know that space time things change. He was in World War II, a Tuskegee Airman in World War II, got slungshot to the other side of the universe. Right now, the point where he's at, it's 2050 on Earth, the point where he's at in his time. So it's linear in time, but he's so far away because he's on the other side of the galaxy that whatever he does is nothing's going to happen in the main point. However, I do have a cross title event planned way down the road, because I want to get these other stories out first, where something is going to happen and he's going to notice it, but it's going to make sense. And people are like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. It's not going to be one of those things where he's like looking through a telescope and sees Earth, like, what's going on? Nothing like that. But it's just going to be something that happens. And he's just going to be like, well, what's going on? Like, what's that? And then they're going to be like, oh, that's headed towards Earth. And he's going to be like, what? But they're not going to go because they're going to have their own mission. So he's going to be like, well, hopefully someone's there to stop that. So but he's going to be doing his own thing, because he has his own life at that point. But yeah, it's weird with the connections. That's one of the things, like you said, to not keep it muddied is like, I have my ideas and I throw them out there, write them down. And I already have in my mind, some of this stuff is going to get chopped. I can't throw everything into a story. So things get chopped just so I can make sure that it stays streamlined and that the story stays cohesive and that things don't get muddy. Like, there's a lot of things I want to do, but I can't, because if I start doing everything that I want to do, then that's when I'm gonna start getting plot holes and, all sorts of crazy stuff for people to, poke holes in. And I don't want that. Like, I want everything to be solid as it can be for a human doing it, but I want everything to be as solid as possible. So,
and we're going to dive into some of this stuff a little bit as well, furthermore. But to get back to the story, obviously a lot of stuff is being thrown out in here. Issue 1 is done. Issue 2 is also done and can be picked up. It's now just the physical copies do preface that. And I think what happens in issue 2, and obviously we're starting to head towards some serious issues between all 3 of these groups. We have issues of power, overpowered, people feeling unsafe with these powers is a big theme in this book. Obviously, people have vendettas. They want revenge. They don't like each other. There is issues between members of the team themselves, as well as the Angels of Anarchy have some issues. And, well, there's a lot of stuff that happens with all this stuff coming together, and it raises a lot of questions in many ways.
Yeah.
Where it's, what is power? How do you handle power? Is registration the answer? I know that Marvel has thrown out this question with Civil War to some degree, and that's a big debate. You know, that's happened in the superhero world, both in the comics and even outside of it.
Yeah.
And then even bringing it to reality as well, and taking it a step out. So what is that like, that they're all that out there? Because these are really actually deep philosophical questions about heroes and being an adult and having responsibility. Not to sound like Spider-Man here, but
yeah. No worries. So like with the registration, it was one of the things that I always kind of wanted to be the issue. Even though Temple and America and NATO, they got together and said, well, we have to have some type of way for the rest of the world to track, you know, these individuals with powers. Not everybody follows it, you know. But in the same vein, it is kind of dangerous for those who do register themselves. So a lot of people ask the question like, well, is it actually beneficial for me to register myself? Because if I do it, you know, only thing it takes is someone to get into the system. They find out who I am, find out where I live, find out my family line, and then they start hunting us down, which, you know, story fodder. But that's all I'm gonna say. But like, you have the protectors of mankind is what they call themselves, the anti-terrorist one, the individuals who don't have powers, they are hell bent on destroying individuals who have power. They are highly connected. Like they got people in the government. They got people who are part of them that are teachers, doctors, people that are probably working at these registration sites who are part of this organization. You know, they're everywhere. But a lot of people don't see it as that. They're just like, oh no, they're just the ones that are, and this is like a reflection off of real life. It's like, they're just the ones that are, you know, openly hating the people with powers. And it's like, no, they're everywhere. Like the dude that runs it, people don't even know that he's running it, you know, because he's one of those, he's a philanthropist. He is the type that's like, no, let's build this school for students with powers, for kids with powers, and let's build this park for kids with powers. Let me donate this money to this hospital that specializes in the genealogy of the Zenith and the Phenosapien. Like, he's that type of person. So people are like, it can't, you know, people won't think that it's him, but he's the one funding everything. You know, he's the one that's behind all of it. So there's a lot of things going on in there. Just the everyday human question. There's a lot of deception that I want the readers to figure out and pick out. You know, one of the things, like you mentioned with the characters and Cypher Team, how some of them don't get along. That's just everyday human. Like they're going to go and get the mission done because they're a team. But two of the characters, they're just like, whatever. But it's a rivalry thing between them. But it's a kind of a rivalry that has gone a little too far, because one of the characters is a former British Marine commando and the other one is, you know, the assassin. So it's like they were going for the same spot, and the assassin won, but the assassin is younger, and she's like, you know, she has this, the British Marine commando has this chip because she's like, you know, I'm actually trained to do this, and you're just gonna put this kid in my position, you know, even though she's not a kid, but you know, that's how she's looking at it. I'm like, she doesn't have the mental fortitude for it, you know? So it's like, they have that back and forth, but they're woke. And it's weird because since it is a military type unit, you know, that's what they are, even though they have this back and forth, and it's going to be shown in issue 3. If you step in between that, you're gonna get destroyed. Like, they're both gonna take you out. So it's like they can mess with each other, but you don't you do it. You know, so they do have that attitude about it. And the same thing with the Angels of Anarchy. Like, because you have different individuals. They're there for one common goal, but they each have their own individual goal. So you're gonna meet 2 more characters later. I think issue 3 or issue 4, you're gonna meet the other 2 characters who are part of that. But they're just coming together for one common goal, and that common goal is to bring forth what their leader, who was destroyed 10 years ago. So they want to bring his ideas and everything forward, but they all kind of have their own thing, and they're all just coming together because their separate ideas can lead to that one idea. So. Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff going on because it's kind of right into it, where obviously there is a showdown. There's consequences for actions in many ways in this particular book and what's going on with it. And so I don't want to ruin too much.
Yeah. I'm trying to watch what I say, because like every time I do my Friday Night Lives, like some folks who actually like really into it, who have read all the books and they're kind of on the team now, either as cosplayers or they I might spitball ideas with them, like because they know a little bit more, and they're like, they put up like the smiley, don't say anything, like you're getting too close to spoiler territory. So I try not. That's why I'm like, I can't say that, but I try to tell as much as I can without ruining anything. So
I want to dive into what I think is even more interesting with this. So I like the business side of Kickstarters a little bit more than I actually like the creative side. I tend to gravitate towards more business stuff. Yeah, there's a whole reason why I'm in a particular sector in the comic world right now, and I'm itching and gaining towards that. But I'm not going to say too much about it, because people who follow my secret page know all about that. That's not advertised. If you look hard enough, you'll find it. But it's not dirty, so I want to make that clear. But anyhow, obviously, Cypher Team 1 and 2 are out digitally.
Right.
And I know that Cypher Team, the first issue, had floppies or had regular issues. But then that's sort of going away, and that's what this Kickstarter is about. Yeah. And so, because Cypher Team never had an official Kickstarter.
Right, it didn't.
From my understanding. Or it didn't fund.
No, it didn't have one. Cypher Team issue 1 or issue 2 didn't have one. Pretty much all of my books I paid for out of pocket.
So this is what I want to talk about. So obviously you've now gone into the Kickstarter game. And so what is that like? Because it is a different position to be in when you have the work done, you have issues 1 done, you have issue 2 done. Obviously you're working on issue 3, and it does change the position because the artwork is paid for. The covers are paid for, even though you added a new cover onto it and that you've gone in a new direction. So what prompted that? Because it is interesting to go down this route now versus doing it when people say, oh, I have half the book done, or I'm now funding this book for the sake of I paid out of pocket, but now I'm trying to recoup the money I spent, or I want to put it forward to book 2 and book 3 and book 4. Right. Because it is a different position completely than what the norm is.
Right. So yeah, you hit on a couple of things. So one of them is like, I do want to use the funds to start working on the next and actually start building up the company. Because like I said, I have each title that I have right now, the 5 that are out now, I want to do at least 2 more books this year for each. So that's going to cost money. My art team is ready. We've already started, but that's going to cost money. So there's that, but one of the other big deals was whenever I've done my other Kickstarters, I realized that there were people on Kickstarter who seemed like they were strictly Kickstarter. Like, even though they would get the books, or I would put a link up, this is my social media, this is where you can find other books, I would never see their names come across there. So I started realizing, I'm like, oh, okay, well, it seems like there's individuals who are strictly Kickstarter, and that's where they get their comic feed from. And then I noticed that with Indiegogo as well. Like, there are people who are strictly Indiegogo, and that's where if they're not going to a comic book shop or Amazon or Comixology, they're either going to Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So I was like, well, I want those individuals who back the other ones who've come back and be like, yo, I really like the storyline. I want them to be able to get this book too, or other people get it who may not have even heard of Sovereign Comics, who are strictly in the indie comic, or in the comic book buying on Kickstarter, Indiegogo realm. So that was one of the main reasons. Was just getting it to people who haven't seen it. And with issue 2 did get floppies. People have brought floppies. But there's still those individuals who have not, and that's the reason why I'm doing I plan to do a Kickstarter for issue 2 too, for that same reason, because I know there's going to be people that buy issue 1, they're going to want to know about issue 2, and they might not go to my store because they're like, no, I'm just going to buy them from Kickstarter. So so I don't alienate them. I can just be like, hey, here's the Kickstarter for issue 2. You can get it here. We can get the prints. The rest of the money that's made, all of that money is going to go towards issue 3, towards my other titles, because we're continuously building up the universe. So yeah, no pocketing. Like, I haven't been pocketing anything. Everything's been going right back into the business. It's just like, oh, money, recycle. It goes right back into the business. So
to even talk about that, because it is a different position, though, that you're in, because when you don't have to worry about paying your artist back or money necessarily leaving the business, that means that money can go into it, or money can be repositioned in a company, and things of that nature. So obviously that allows for more freedom. It also allows for other things to happen. It allows for the goal to be lower in many ways, and a variety of other things that can happen with that.
Right.
And also, you've done some interesting stuff with this as well, where obviously you've gone and got a new cover. So let's talk about that, because, I'm going to say something and I know how it's going to sound, but sometimes a fresh coat of paint does the trick on fixing a problem. Sometimes a name change also fixes the problem on certain things. So obviously, what is that like to go down that route? Because it does sort of make, I guess, your old people say, hey, I could have this old cover. And now that's going out. And it's sort of like, oh, cool, I have an exclusive. That's the old cover. But now I can also get this new cover, and the old covers are never going to be reprinted again.
Exactly. And honestly, that was like a conversation when I did one of my lives, and I was, talking about doing the Kickstarter. And of course, a lot of people who step in my lives and on IG and stuff, they were like, well, we already have Cypher Team. And I just asked, I was like, well, I didn't really like that cover. That was like me and my art teams. One of the first things that we did in building this universe was that cover. And neither of us liked it. Neither of us liked it. But we did it. And it's not a bad cover. I mean, it's a good cover. But I also, as I learned more stuff and learned from individuals who've been in the game a lot longer, or individuals who are just been like reviewing for decades and, graders of comics and all this other stuff. One of the things that I kept hearing was that a lot of newer comics have stopped telling the comic story on the cover. So it's like, you'll get a cover and the cover does nothing for the story on the inside. It's just a beautiful, beautiful cover. But then when you start turning the pages, like, maybe that character who was with the main character on the cover isn't even in the book, And so that's what really got me thinking, because on that first cover, it was the entirety of Cypher Team, on that cover. However, it's mainly, issue 1 is mainly really dealing with one member from Cypher Team who's getting action, and then another member who's part of one of the seeker units, which is a search, evacuation, and quick response units. She's part of that unit, and she's getting action. So I went back to the artist and I was like, hey, let's redo this cover. I was like, I want to give it something that's more in tune with the story. And there's a scene in the story that I was like, maybe we could portray this on the cover and just make it more dynamic and make it where this is the part that, the terrorists were seeing when she was coming in for her landing. And then we got that cover, and I'm like, okay, that's perfect, because there is a part in the book where what's going on with the cover, like, pretty much you will be in a sense, you're the terrorist looking up and seeing her get ready to do this. And that part is in the book. Just like the variant has the other character on it, because she was the one that was showing a lot of time, and I kind of wanted her to have a Baroness type of feel on the cover, G.I. Joe Baroness type of vibe on the cover and everything. And Francesco Tomaselli did a great job bringing that to life for the variant. So,
and I like this concept, as I stated, and I know how it sounds, and I know how people are going to react to it. Not necessarily my intention, but sort of my intention that this does add that idea of giving a reason to back it.
Yeah,
where it is a variant, but it is still an issue 1. It is still a number 1, from a collectible standpoint. And look, I don't know the whole indie market. That's not really my jam per se. I'm more mainstream as far as collectible and buying and selling is my background. But obviously, it sort of fits, I guess, a weird position because it's not technically. It's almost like a reprint that's a 00111.
Right. And it will be a reprint. There's individuals who have like, 00111, and they have those. And then there's individuals who have, hold on, actually.
So the barcode is that, for those who don't know what I'm referring to, a barcode actually on mainstream comics determines the issue number, the variant type, and then the printing.
Yep. So, like, I don't know if we can kind of see that. Hold on, but yeah, this is what we're talking about. This part right there. So yeah, so there's going to be individuals who have the 00111. This one is a 00112, but these other 20, because I've only made it select, so they're going to be 00113 and 4. But yeah, this cover as a whole is going to be. This is the old cover, but this cover as a whole is going to be fully gone, and that'd be the new cover that replaces it.
Yeah, so this is the new cover. I wanted to mention it. I know it's sort of going right in the middle between us, but obviously this is the new cover for those who are interested. Obviously, you could pick that one up in there. So that's something I wanted to mention really quickly. And then obviously since we're on it, and I think this is the old cover.
Yes, yep, that's the old cover.
Which I think you have a few more of these still left around, right?
No, those sold out. So these will be your new print of that cover.
So there we go. So obviously, if you get a print of it, I just want to give an example here. So obviously, there's this one right here, which is the old cover. This right here is the new cover, and then the one that Francesco Tomalsi did, I think Tomaselli. And so this is the sort of new one. So let's talk about this one. And is this the orange back as well?
Yeah. So that's the orange back exclusive. That's something that I do in the Sovereign Comics universe, basing off our company colors. But the orange back exclusives are our variants that we do. Francesco Tomaselli and Marvin Marvita are really the only ones that I've allowed to do orange back exclusives. And pretty much the way those work is there will only be 100 sold. So if this Kickstarter, if 100 backer, like if we get to the point where 100 people get that cover, that's it. You only see it in this Kickstarter. It will never come out or never be sold anywhere else. But if it was only like, we got enough backers, but only 50 people got this, then we'll probably sell 50 more. So but the way that I have the orange back exclusives, there will only be 100 of those sold. And the reason why I chose 100 is because right now I'm small. So the smaller the number, the more rare they are. But as things grow, that number probably would start to grow. But it would be for other covers because, like I said, once these orange back exclusives that I have, which right now this is the first one for Cypher Team. There's one for Stars. There's one for Yamo Stigmata. And then there's one for Temple High. And none of those have hit 100 yet. So once they hit 100, that's it. They're gone forever. So
let's talk about this cover because obviously this is something that is exclusive. And so where do your ideas even come for these? Because obviously this is not, and I'm a cover guy. Obviously I buy and sell a lot of covers. I'm a big Zenoscope fan. I'm a big Michael Turner fan. Paid good money for a Michael Turner. Actually, not that much. It's like $30 for a Michael Turner, which isn't bad. Super cool. Virgin cover too. It's awesome. It was an intense eBay bid. In the middle of my interview last night, which is even funnier, but that's a different discussion. But like, where do your ideas for covers come? Because obviously when you have an orange back, you have something that is 100, or let's say that in 5 years from now, it becomes 200. It's the limit for an orange back because your audience has doubled in size. Obviously I feel like more effort has to go into something like an orange back, and also it's a higher backing pledge on Kickstarter. And not to say that your artist doesn't put love and effort and other things into the regular cover. That's not what I'm trying to say here. But
I get it.
I think what I'm trying to get here, and I'm being very careful with my words, is that when you're spending $30 for a cover, I expect something more of a bam, wow factor.
Yeah.
Versus, just this cover A. And I don't think I'm out of bounds when I say any of that. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not. So one of my main things is like I definitely all of the Orange Back exclusives, all of them are Virgin variant or Virgin covers, Virgin variants, because I just want the art to show. And usually they'll have something that you won't see again. So, for instance, that character, because she isn't, even though she did a lot of damage, and did a lot of had a lot of screen time in issue 1, she will never be on a Cypher Team issue cover by herself. So that's one of the rarities right there. So you'll have this character, she'll never be on an issue cover by herself. So that's already a rarity. One of the things I did with Temple High is with issue 1, you don't see the students in their training uniforms, but on the Orange Back exclusive for that, they're in their training uniforms. Except for Damien, you get to see him in his, but the rest of them you don't get to see them. So it's almost like an introduction to what they look like when they're in their training uniforms. With Stars, that issue is more geared towards one of the characters, Siphon. So I talked with Francesco, and he saw the characters, and I was like, pick which one you want. And I'm like, and then the rest of them we're gonna do the other ones. So it kind of is offset, because it could have easily have been the character Siphon, because I did do a cosplayer cover for that too, which the cosplayer was cosplaying Siphon. So I could have easily have done a Siphon cover for the Orange Back, but I wanted to be offset. So it's another character, and in the same vein, you're seeing her in a position where isn't something you would normally see. Like, she has pretty much these holes on her back where her wings come from. So you kind of see her like powering up in a little bit. You see the nanites or electricity form of the nanites going up her arm, and you see these holes in her back before the wings come out. So I always want them to be incredibly artistic or just incredibly dope. Like, if I wanted to take them and make them like an embossed cover or a metallic cover, it will make sense. Like, it makes sense to make it that, because the art is just so much, is leaps and bounds forward. And like you said, not to say that my artists don't take care with the regular covers, because they do. They made the regular covers nice, but the regular covers, with the variants, they're going to be way more artistically driven, which is the reason why I make sure that they're Virgin variants. So, and that's the reason why also the Orange Back exclusives have been more painterly. For like the last 3 or 4, they've been more painterly than just comic art, because I want them to be really artistically driven. So.
No, and I think also people expect more when you're spending more money. As I stated, I'm a Zenescope fan. Mm-hmm. When I'm dropping $100 for a cover or $75 for a cover, I expect a certain position on.
Yeah, like you want it, and you want to be like, man, this is nice. Not what did I spend my money on. So, so that's one of the things I look at too. So.
And to even go further off of this, because I know you got a bunch of digital rewards that can be picked up. I know that you can get complete digital into the Soulverse universe. Mm-hmm. I know that obviously cover A, the Virgin cover, if 100 don't sell that. I know there's like poster stuff going on. I know there's, t-shirt package. Is there still being drawn into the book?
Not with this one, because it was already done.
But obviously, going forward with probably 3, that's going to be thrown back in there. Yeah, I know you've done that in the past, or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what else I'm missing, but I know that there's a lot of stuff where if somebody wants to get in on digitally, it is super easy to get into digitally for all the first issues, almost as like a flight of the Soulverse universe.
Yep, is our $10 tier, and I think I named it Welcome to the Soulverse or Read the Soulverse. Those are usually the 2 names that I'll name it, but it pretty much has all of our number 1. So if you're like, I'm on the fence, I don't know if this is a universe, let me check out this universe first to see if this is something that I actually want to get invested into, then there's that one, the $10 tier, and you get pretty much all 5 number 1s that are out right now. And the cool thing is as more number 1s come out, that packet is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So so it won't just be those 5. Eventually the other number 1s are going to be thrown into the mix too, as the world grows more. So,
and to even go further off of that, obviously there's some stretch goals out there as well. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're starting to get close to them if you haven't already broken them.
Yep. I actually broke the stretch goal and a backer goal, but I think somebody canceled, which I understand. It is a rough time right now, so I don't even question. I don't even say, "Hey, why'd you cancel?" I'm just like, I get it. So we kind of dropped back, but someone else backed, so I think we kind of jumped forward a little more. So the stretch goal now is actually everybody will get a cover of the new cover. So I'm gonna do a poster of the new cover. The backer goal is Thomas Johnson's Raxon Universe for his first comic mobilization. So that's like the backer goal that I get unlocked this one. So that's another cool thing too, is like all my backer goals, like I have 5 other folks, 5 other comics from other folks. So if if we do unlock all 5 of those, and let's say you do get the $10 tier just to get my 5 comics, you're going to get 5 more comics from 5 other creators up there too. So that's kind of cool. If all of those get unlocked, of course. And the next stretch goal is going to be a trading card, and that's going to be set for 2,500. So once we cross 2,000, when we get to 2,500, it's going to be a trading card. Last time with Stars, I did a trading card that had like a because again, I want people to get something. Like if you're taking me to this stretch goal, I want you to get something pretty dope. So what's going to end up happening is I'm going to do the same thing that I did with that Stars trading card, where it has like this velvet feel. So it's a very velvety type of trading card, very soft. Even when I sent it to the people, I'm like, take it out, fill it, and put it right back in the sleeve, because I actually sent it with sleeves, so I put it in the trading card sleeve, so it's not out. And I told him, put it right back in the sleeve, because it's gonna be, you don't want to get that ruined. So I'm gonna do the same thing, like a collector trading card for all of it. You'll get the card if you're a physical backer, but you'll get a digital version if you're a digital backer. So I do want to make that part clear too. And then eventually I do want to do their actual unit patch, because the Cypher team deal is in their unit patch. So I actually want to do a patch, which will probably be the stretch goal after that. But I know the first day backers are actually getting a sticker that they're getting a sticker that is the unit badge for the first day backers. So if we don't make it to that stretch goal, at least the first day backers will get the will get the sticker and everything. That's the unit badge. So.
And so there's a lot of stuff coming out. Obviously, a bunch of digital rewards for everybody, pretty much, who backs it, where those 5 comics and a variety of other stuff as well. And obviously, if you're backing this, you are wanting, obviously those stretch goals and those bonus and in on the process and all that stuff. So obviously there's a lot more stuff to come.
Yeah, and I have ideas for like higher ones. Like I plan for the last stretch goal. Like if it decides to pick up and just people just come in back and it just starts raising, the last stretch goal I'll probably stop at will be for physical tiers, and it'll probably be some type of embossed or metallic cover of the new cover, and just have it embossed or something like that. Because I think it will look dope. And I was talking to my friend Aaron, who runs Callus, but we were saying the same thing, that we think it will look dope if she's embossed and she's like popping off of the cover, if it was something like that. So that's something I would love to do, but got to get to that point. So
to even just back out of Kickstarter, because obviously we spoke about this before, and I got a hard deadline, and so do you. So it's in there, where I am curious about your take on COVID and everything that's going on. Obviously, I already mentioned that San Diego Comic-Con has been canceled.
Yeah.
WonderCon has been, in a few other. SakuraCon, which is happening, was supposed to happen in April on the anime side. I know anime, it's a dirty word, right? God forbid.
No, I like anime.
Yeah, I like anime too, but apparently some people don't. Anyhow, it's not as bad as Dr. Seuss today, and I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah. That's a whole can of worms that's going to get me demonetized. It's funny, because that would mean I have to get monetized first in order to lose it. But
just to lose it.
But anyhow, what is your take? Because I think it is a red flag that cons are not going to be coming out in the summer. And we're starting to see all these cons starting to come and say, hey, we're coming back in the summer. I mean, I used to live in Washington, D.C., and Awesome Con wants to run at the end of August. And if San Diego isn't running, I highly doubt a month later, Awesome Con is going to be allowed to run.
I think I think a lot of folks, which I get it.
We want to come back.
Yeah, like a lot of folks want to go to cons, and then a lot of these cons want to make their money back that they lost. But I personally, I don't plan on going to another con until 2023. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, so either 2022 or 2020, like late 2022, 2023.
The question then is that so twofold. What do you think has to happen for cons to come back, and do we really even need them back to some degree as far as sales go and growing our audiences? Because in my view is that I've never done better.
Yeah, and that's what I'm looking at too. Like I've gone to cons, I have tabled at cons, but I feel like last year I did better than what I would ever do with the con. And I'm actually, for this year, I plan on, in September, I plan on having the Silver's Con, like running my own con digitally, because that's where everything is at right now. Like podcasts and shows and getting out there and talking to your fans and doing these lives. And yeah, you might not be able to shake hands with them and speak face to face with them, but eventually that's going to come, but you can't ignore them because you can't, shake hands with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you still got to go out there and do these lives and do these shows and get out there and let your fans know, hey, I'm still here. I still care. Hey, we're still trying to make it work. And it's like a lot of people are still stuck in that physical,
because my brand has legitimately 10x in the last year. In 23 days, it's going to be a year since I started doing this. And my brand has legitimately 10x, and my capabilities and my credibility and the guests I get across the board, from everybody from indie all the way up to some of the top people in their professions. I mean, it's clear to me that it's going in a certain direction.
Yeah, it is.
So for me, I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to a con. I don't know.
I think when DC did their DC fandom last year, I think everybody realized that they can do it. Like, they might not be able to pump as much money as DC did into it, but I think everybody, because that's honestly what was my click. I was like, oh, wow, it's doable. And then I've seen other people do digital cons, and I'm like, it's doable. And then you got stuff like Clubhouse, you got StreamYard, you got all these different ways of doing it. Even one of the first con I ever went to last year, they did a digital con, and that was a MechaCon, and they did digital con. It was beautiful. It ran smoothly. It was so nice, and it worked. It was their first digital con, but they've done cons before, so they knew what to do, and it was perfect. So, I mean, it's doable. So I don't know why people want to risk, things, because, I mean, COVID is whatever side you believe, COVID is still a problem. So I don't know why anybody would want to risk that. I don't. I don't. So I'm going to try to keep as digital as possible.
Yeah, I think it's a very complicated thing, and I don't know how you're going to run a con right now, because I don't know how you're going to tell me I spent $100 on a ticket. I can't take a picture with a cosplayer who looks
exactly, and I don't understand how they're going to
justify it.
I don't think there is any justification right now. I think a lot of them are just going off of the fact that people just want to be back in cons. That's all it is. They can't promise anyone they won't get sick. That's the reason why a lot of these cons are going to have people, part of them signing up to attend the con or be a panelist on the con or whatever. They're going to have, I guarantee you, they're going to have some type of disclosure, whereas, like, if you get sick, it's not our fault. So that right there should tell you.
They're not paying panelists. Then I'm going to tell something right now. I'm not going. I'm not getting a paycheck. I wasn't getting a paycheck before, and damn right I'm going to get paid if I'm going to go to a con.
Exactly.
Like, especially all the liability. I'm sorry. There's no way in hell that I'm not getting paid moving forward. There's no way in hell. It's just my game has changed.
Yeah.
But that's a different discussion for a whole different day. That's a Thursday night conversation, because I'm going to be on some of these podcasts on Thursday night, and I am definitely going to be talking about that.
Oh yeah.
But that's a different conversation. Again, hard deadline here. And we want to talk about that entire discussion. I'm open for everything. But I do want to give you an opportunity to promote yourself. Where can people find the Kickstarter? Where can people go buy the other books that are out there? Obviously, I'm a big proponent of that digital pack. Whether you want people to go at a higher rate, that's totally up to you in promoting that. I like that digital pack a lot, because I think it gives everybody the biggest bang for their buck.
I do too. Like, that's one of the ones I usually tell folks, like, if they're new to the universe, I always push that. And that's the reason why I put it there, for those individuals who've never heard of Sovereign Comics and they just want to, kind of dip their foot in and see what's up. Because I mean, that's digital, so you're not, paying higher for physical. If you don't like them, you can just delete it off your iPhone, iPads, Galaxy, whatever you have. You can just delete it off.
Tweet about it.
Yeah, you can tweet about it like, this comic sucked, and I'll tweet bad and be like, I'm sorry. So we'll do better next time. But is the number ones, you're just dipping your foot in. You're not fully investing. And a lot of people who have gotten that have come back and bought physicals, or they'll get the digital and they'll come back and buy the physical of of that. So I push that one too. There's also the tier.
Where can people find it? Because that's the big thing.
So the quickest way to find it, if you go to links.sovereigncomics.com, I do have a link inside of there that will say Cypher Team Issue 1 Kickstarter. And if you click on that, it'll take you to my Kickstarter. And also, if you want to follow me on Instagram, is at Sovereign Comics. Same thing on Facebook. And I also have that link in my bio, so you can click that link and go there. If you go to Kickstarter and type in Cypher Team, CYPHER Team, I01 ongoing, it'll pop up for you. So yeah, those are the quickest 4 ways to find it. Yeah, you probably go. I guarantee if you go to Google and probably type in Cypher Team Issue 1 Kickstarter, it'll probably pop up too. But those are the surefire ways to find it. Don't go to Google and type it in, because I don't know where it's at yet. So if it's up there,
on that note, because I know you got to get out of here, and so do I, because I got one in 15 minutes, and you probably got one in like 10, right?
Yeah, that's about 10, 15 minutes. Yeah.
So we got 2 minutes essentially. Yep. We're going a minute over, but. Obviously, I want people to go check it out. So obviously, just type it in on Kickstarter. It should pretty much come up.
Yeah, it'll pop up. I think I'm the only Cypher Team on Kickstarter.
So if you just type it in, it'll come up. If you just type in Silver's Reign
or Sovereign Comics,
write down. You could follow.
SOVEREIGN.
At the Silver Reign Comics, check that out as well, and it'll also pop up. And see if you like it. Check it out. Digital, again, $10, 5 issues, pretty affordable, pretty cheap, and it is the best way how to support creators. Because if you like something, you have to support indie. Yeah. And as I stated, you got to throw money at it, because that's what has worked and that's what actually means something. Mm-hmm. But COVID's tough. Completely get it. It's a tough world out there, and your first priority before supporting anybody else is making sure your 4 walls are good. Your internet's on, water, food, shelter, electricity. You got food on your table. You're healthy. Your family's healthy. Your dog's eating right. Super important. You also have money that in case something goes wrong in the next month, because if you think things are going to be better next month, I think they are slowly getting better, but there is still a hell of a long road ahead.
There is.
And make sure that you are safe first. And then if you have extra money, support projects. But in the meanwhile, you should definitely support on social media. Yep. That is ultra important. Email lists. I think you have an email list at this point. Big one on that one as well. Definitely sign up for email lists. They're free. Definitely sign up and follow people on Twitter, Facebook pages, Instagram pages. Makes a difference. And also commenting on that stuff. Super important. And if you'd like to give me your credit card, and I'll just take whatever I need out of that. I am more than happy. My DMs are open. And you are more than welcome to send that to me, because this show also doesn't operate. It's got bills to pay. So please, if you would like to send me your credit card with whatever, and you're cool with me spending whatever I need to spend, I will happily accept that. And on that note, I will give you the final word.
I was just going to say, too, I'm a big proponent in that, too. If you can't, don't worry about it. We're going through some hard times right now. And if you can't do the $10, I do have a $2 tier, which is the digital. I try to make my digital tiers $2, because I know some people may not have it, and that's fine. I get it. So those are 2 of the out for the digitals, the 10 and the 20, the 10 and the 2, not the 10 and the 20, but the 10 and the 2. But if you can't, I fully understand. Share it with someone who can. I'm a big proponent of that too. And sharing is, to me, just as important as backing, because you never know who will see it. Somebody might see it and be like, oh, I like that, and back it because you shared it. So, but yeah, that's all.
I think that's a wrap.